Planet Reddit. Today's story is...
My daughter wants to exclude her own 9-year-old son from her wedding to please her fiancé. My ultimatum not to pay for the ceremony revealed a devastating truth. Hello everyone. I'm using a temporary account as this is my first time posting on Reddit, so please excuse any mistakes. I'm here to share my decision to withdraw my promise to pay for my daughter's wedding. I know this may make me look like the villain from the start, but I have my reasons. My wife considers my attitude to be wrong, and that is the only reason I am reconsidering my position, although I personally believe that my reaction is completely justified. My daughter Lucy, 30, is about to get married in a couple of months. Recently, during a family dinner, she casually mentioned that she would hire a babysitter to take care of her son on the day of the wedding because she was planning a child-free celebration. My grandson Nathan, 9, is the son of a previous relationship that unfortunately didn't work out. The little boy's father doesn't have much of a relationship with him, seeing him just 1 or 2 weekends a month. He just pays child support, but he has no real connection with the child. This situation causes a lot of stress for Lucy, so my wife and I spend a lot of time with Nathan. We are often relied upon to look after him or to help her in general. It doesn't bother us at all. We adore the boy, and he adores us. Nathan is extremely important to us, which is why I didn't like the idea of him staying with a babysitter while his mother celebrated her marriage. Under normal circumstances, I might have given him the benefit of the doubt. I have observed how Lucy's fiancé behaves with Nathan, and I can't say that I like it. Nathan is a happy and lucky boy who tries to make friends with everyone, but from what I have noticed so far, Frank, Lucy's fiancé, does not show any closeness to the little boy. Lucy told me that it was Frank's idea to have a child-free wedding, which I found absurd, because it would be strange not to have your own child at your wedding. On previous occasions, Lucy has also told me that Frank insists that she should pressure her ex to spend more time with his son, even though Frank knows full well that they don't have a good relationship and that she is happy with the current arrangement. They have even argued about this, so I don't understand how he's not seeing the signs now. During dinner, I told her that I thought it was ridiculous that she and Frank didn't want Nathan at the wedding. Finally, I expressed to her what I had always suspected, that maybe Frank didn't want Nathan in his life and was trying to separate them. She began to defend him, arguing that it was something she wanted too because children tend to cause problems, and that for one day she just wanted to be a bride and not a mother. I understand her point of view, but Nathan is not a problem child. I even offered to keep an eye on him the whole time. I told her that when the time came to walk her down the aisle, another relative could supervise him, although we all knew that Nathan would never interrupt something important. I simply thought that Nathan should be part of the celebration, but she kept arguing, insisting that it was her wedding, and it was not for me to make those decisions. After a while, I felt very frustrated and reminded her that, as I was financing the wedding, this was the least I could ask of her. When she still refused, I told her that if Nathan wasn't going to be there, I wouldn't pay for the ceremony either, and that was my final decision. She started complaining about how I wasn't going to let her enjoy her day in peace, called me insensitive, and left. After she left, my wife also told me that it had been quite harsh, and that as it was her wedding, I should allow her to decide what she wanted, because as Nathan's mother, she knows what is best for him. I don't share that opinion, and I think it was important to express my point of view so I have no regrets. However, from her reaction, I feel that perhaps I overstepped the mark. What do you think? Am I wrong to refuse to finance my daughter's wedding if she doesn't include my grandson? Editorial. I am not financing the whole event. It's not that they can't have the wedding without my contribution. They will simply have to scale it back considerably, as I am paying for the venue and the decorations. If I decide to withdraw now, they will have to cover those expenses themselves or choose another venue. It's worth mentioning that the venue and decorations are quite expensive and are definitely taking a big chunk out of my finances. I've already handed over a check in advance to cover half the costs, but the other half is still outstanding. Of course, Lucy, Frank, and their parents have also invested a lot of their own money in the wedding and other costs. We've done the maths, and I know for a fact that if I pull out now, they will face serious financial difficulties. Normally, I wouldn't even consider making such a threat, because I don't want it to seem like I'm using my help as a form of manipulation. I always promised to cover her education and her wedding, and that's what I was trying to do. But at the same time, I can't help feeling that she is neglecting her responsibilities as a mother, and I can't witness that without intervening. Update 1. A week has passed since my argument with my daughter. My wife and I have spoken during this time, unlike Lucy and I, but she refuses to understand my perspective. I wouldn't say we've been fighting, but we have definitely argued about the subject occasionally. It's very frustrating that no one else sees how unfair this situation is, especially considering that in the past, Frank's behavior has not always been warm towards Nathan. Obviously, he doesn't openly show rejection towards the boy, but we can see that he is not ready to be a stepfather, and he doesn't seem happy with the situation at all. Even my wife has admitted that this is the case, because she has also noticed a certain distance in the atmosphere, and I simply don't understand how he thinks this will work. Maybe he can tolerate it for a few months, or even a couple of years, but ultimately, if he's not happy with Nathan being part of their lives now, he never will be. They've been together for 4 years now. It's not like he hasn't had enough time to bond with Nathan, and personally, I don't think it's a question of the time he's spent with him. I think she just doesn't want to accept Nathan as part of her life. And just because I mentioned this to Lucy, now I'm the villain. But after reading the comments, I realized that I'm being completely fair in what I'm asking for, so I'm not going to back down. If Nathan were much younger, maybe under 5, it would be different, because then he wouldn't be old enough to remember any of this. But he's 9. He's definitely old enough to understand what's going on around him. And I know for a fact that he'll feel terrible if he can't attend the wedding. It'll probably affect him for the rest of his life. I'm just trying to protect his relationship with his own son, for the benefit of both of them. I don't understand why she acts as if what I'm asking is a big deal, because it shouldn't be a deal breaker for Frank to have his future stepson at his wedding. It shouldn't come as a surprise to him. If he's prepared to propose to Lucy, marry her, and make a lifelong commitment to her, then I don't see why he finds it problematic to allow his own son to be present. It will be a special moment, and I just don't understand any of this. I also don't understand how Lucy is okay with this, because I understand that she loves Nathan, so I don't understand how she allows this to happen in the first place. In fact, even during our discussion, she didn't even bother to deny anything when I said that Frank was trying to interfere in her relationship with her son, and that if she didn't take a firm stand now, it would only continue and get worse. Her only response was that I was ruining everything for her, but she didn't deny it. Nor did she defend Frank against that specific accusation, so I guess she is aware of what is going on. It would be strange if she didn't know, because as I mentioned in my original post, they have had discussions about him trying to pressure her to talk to his ex and get her to agree to spend more time with their son so that they could have more time together. I'm not saying that Frank is wrong for wanting to spend more time with the woman he loves, but he needs to accept that the woman he loves is also a mother. If he can't accept that, then maybe he should have looked for someone who would fit into his life as he wanted, someone without children. He didn't think it through properly, and now I don't think it's fair to either of them for Nathan to suffer for his decisions. That's what I've been trying to explain to my wife. The most frustrating thing is that she understands, but she still maintains that in the end it's her daughter, it's her wedding, so ultimately it's her choice. All I can do is advise her, but acting like that won't achieve anything. It will only make her hate me. It's quite frustrating that even in that she's right. That's why we've been arguing, and I just don't see a solution at the moment. It's all very confusing, and I value my relationship with my daughter very much. I don't want to lose it. But I also believe that what she is doing is not right. And the worst thing is that, because we are fighting, I haven't even been able to see Nathan lately. It's ironic because I'm really trying to fight for him, as he is too young to do it for himself, and now I'm the one who can't see him because I'm defending him. Everything is very complicated at the moment. Update 2. Hi all, it's been 5 days since my last update. This morning, finally, Lucy called me. But even now, it was only to tell me that she would drop Nathan off in the afternoon because she was going out with friends, and Frank had a work thing. They needed us to look after him. Even on the phone, she sounded quite cold and annoyed. I knew it would be awkward, but I was finally glad that, regardless of our relationship, I would at least get to see my grandson. Sure enough, she arrived in the afternoon as she had said she would, dropped Nathan off and left without saying a word. I spent the afternoon with him. My wife was also there, and fortunately, in the last few days, the tension between us has diminished. I respect her opinion, she respects mine. Even if we don't agree, I don't think we can do much about it. We are just trying not to talk about it too much, and to deal with the situation as it is. We enjoyed the afternoon with Nathan, and for a moment I almost forgot about everything else. But then, after dinner, his mother turned up to collect him. As we were having dessert, I decided to invite her in so she could have some too, as we had cheesecake, which I know she loves. At first, she resisted, claiming she was very tired and just wanted to go home. But I insisted, and she finally gave in. I served her a piece, and we started talking. I had really intended to invite her in, so I was glad she accepted. Because at the end of the day, she's my daughter, my only daughter. I love her, and I don't want to lose her because of something like this. I wanted to talk to her and at least try to resolve the situation. While my wife was in another room with Nathan after dessert, she and I started talking. Surprisingly, just a few seconds into the conversation, she simply expressed her regret and told me that she had been giving a lot of thought to my words. In the end, she had been unable to find a way to defend Frank. She told me that a couple of days after our argument, she had decided to talk to him about the agreement regarding Nathan. She told him that she was not happy with the idea of leaving her son with a babysitter on his most special day, and suggested that perhaps Nathan could attend, as at 9 years old, he no longer posed a risk because he knew how to behave. Therefore, any concerns about children causing problems would not apply, and for her peace of mind, she would make sure that a family member supervised him during the ceremony, and he could even be the ring bearer. She thought it was a pretty reasonable solution, and when she made the suggestion, she expected Frank to be understanding, but he immediately overreacted. He argued that they had already informed the other guests that children were not welcome at the wedding, so now he didn't want to back out. Apparently, she tried to explain to him that his own son was a different case compared to other people's children, but he simply wasn't willing to listen to her, which led to a big argument. It started like that, but eventually she accused him of the same things I had mentioned, and he didn't bother to deny them either. So it was all true after all. He just kept quiet when she started accusing him, and they haven't been speaking since. In fact, he's even been very cold to Nathan, and has also been giving him the silent treatment, although the poor boy doesn't even know what's going on. Seeing all this, she had decided to visit me, and at first she planned to talk to me, but her pride stopped her. She is glad that I have chosen to be the more mature person and initiate the conversation, because otherwise she would not have told me any of this. After listening to her, I only asked her if she still wanted to go ahead with the wedding, because clearly Frank was not willing to accept Nathan as part of his family. He never had been, and if he isn't okay with Nathan now, there's a good chance he never will be. I wanted her to think things through before making a decision, as it was definitely a significant issue. So far she has been able to ignore his behavior with her son, but it could get worse. She agreed with me and suddenly started to cry, so I comforted her and sat next to her to reassure her, because she was clearly going through a very difficult time. In my heart, I already knew that there was no solution, and that I would have to break up with him and cancel the wedding, and I guess she knew it too, that's why she ended up crying. After a while, she recovered, and after thanking me, she left with Nathan. When they left, my wife and I talked about it all. I told her everything Lucy had said to me, and she also seemed quite upset, because I guess even she had realized that there was no other way out, and they would have to separate. It was a shame because I could see that Lucy really loved him, and from what I had observed, although Frank didn't like Nathan very much, he loved Lucy. It was a shame that their situation wasn't going to work out unless Frank decided to make it work by being more proactive in his relationship with his future stepson. But honestly, I don't think that will happen. They've been together for quite a while, and he's had enough opportunities to familiarize himself with the situation and accept it as it is, but he still hasn't been able to do it, and I hardly think a few more months will make any difference. I definitely don't think getting married is going to change anything, because they're practically already at that point, and they've been living together for some time, so the wedding is just a formality. By now, he should have been able to accept Nathan if he really intended to, but it's quite clear that his intentions were never about acceptance, but about alienation, and that makes me really angry with him. If he really didn't want to be with someone who already had a child from a previous relationship, then he should have chosen a different partner. He should have ended things with Lucy a long time ago, or maybe not even started a relationship with her. But despite knowing the whole situation, he decided to continue their relationship to the point of almost getting married. And yet, instead of accepting the circumstances, he is determined to change them no matter who he hurts, even if that process hurts a child who is not even 10 years old yet. That's what really bothers me. And that's why I feel that Lucy would be making the right decision if she called off the wedding and decided to remain single. He clearly doesn't respect her boundaries or her position as a mother, so in the long term, I don't see this working out for either of them. Either she will end up unhappy, or he will, and of course Nathan will definitely end up feeling terrible, and they could end up resenting each other. Update 3. 3 days have passed, and this morning, Lucy turned up with Nathan. As it's the weekend, I was surprised because the last I heard Nathan was spending the weekend with his father. When I opened the door, Lucy was crying and began to tell me that she and Frank had broken up. Over the last few days, they had really tried to make it work. She had confronted him about what she thought he felt about Nathan and explained that their relationship wouldn't work if they got married, and he wasn't ready to accept Nathan as part of his life. She told him that, whether he liked it or not, Nathan was his son. She loved him, and she didn't want to give up time with him, so Frank would have to learn to accept him, and take on his role as stepfather. She didn't mean in a financial sense, as she receives child support from the biological father and she also works, but she meant that he would have to accept him and love him as part of his family. I think that's the least he can ask of a man he's about to marry, but Frank couldn't even commit to that. He told her that he had tried very hard over the last few years to accept Nathan, but he hadn't been able to. After the wedding, he thought that maybe he could spend more time with her and start a family of his own. Maybe she would finally agree to pressure her ex to have Nathan more often, so that they could have their own little family. But since it had become clear that Nathan was more of a priority for her than their relationship, he was no longer sure he wanted to go ahead with the wedding. He confessed to her that he simply couldn't accept the fact that, if he married her, he would have to be a stepfather for the rest of his life, and as much as he loved Lucy, he couldn't commit to something like that because it was too much. So finally, although they had tried to talk things over in the last few days, they decided it would be better to break up, because they clearly wanted very different things in life. As she had previously moved in with Nathan, she decided to pack her things and leave, and now she will stay with us until she can find an apartment. I told her she can stay much longer, because I think that would be the best thing for her right now. She is clearly not in a good emotional state, and I think that spending time with us, her loved ones, will help improve how she feels. And even if it doesn't, at least we can be there for her. Now I feel terrible about everything that has happened, and I am especially worried about Nathan, because he has been asking a lot of questions about Frank. He is extremely confused, and at the moment we don't know what to tell him because we don't even know where to start. We have been covering everything up with little white lies, but I know that at some point we will have to tell him the truth. Maybe not the whole truth about why exactly her mom and Frank broke up, because that would hurt her deeply, but we will have to tell her that they are not getting married anymore and that she won't be seeing Frank anytime soon. Lucy has been very sad and inconsolable since she arrived. My wife has been talking to her, comforting her, and just keeping her company, while I spend time with Nathan trying to keep him busy. It hurts to see my daughter going through this, and I wish there was something I could do to protect her from what she is feeling, but I know that in the end she is a grown woman, and I have to let her deal with her feelings on her own, because this is beyond my control. No matter how much I want to fix it for her, I can't. It's a terrible situation, but it is what it is. Update 4. It's been a few weeks since my last post. I've been busy because we had to cancel all the arrangements, and as Lucy was in no fit state to take care of these formalities, my wife and I had to take responsibility. Frank and his parents also did their bit, and now all the cancellations are done. They lost some deposits, but I don't think she cares at the moment. For the last few weeks, Lucy has been staying with us, and all she has done is go to work and come home. She tries to put on a brave face for us, but we know it's just an act, and that inside she is suffering a lot. Last night was particularly difficult for her because Frank turned up with a box of her belongings. When he came to drop her off, he told me he really wanted to talk to her. If it had been up to me, I wouldn't have let him in, but obviously it's not my decision, so I asked her if she wanted to see him, and she agreed. We let them use the living room, and after about half an hour, he had left. Lucy was crying on the sofa with that box, but when we asked her what they had talked about, she didn't tell us. I guess she'll tell us when she feels comfortable, but I was really angry with Frank for making her cry. I guess that feeling will never go away. No matter how much she grows, she will always be my little girl. Update 5. Hi, it's been a week since Frank's last visit to drop off his box of things, and today Lucy finally told my wife and me what they had talked about that day. Apparently, he had apologized and told her that he regretted not being able to be the man she was expecting, and regretted even more having pretended to be that person. Ultimately, he was not ready to marry someone for whom motherhood was a more important priority than he was. He acknowledged that he might be selfish, but he had tried to change that because he loved her and believed he could make it work despite their situation. He apologized for everything he had put her through, and, before she left last week, he told her that if she ever felt like she wanted to get back together with him and try to make it work, he would be waiting for her, and maybe by then he would be ready to accept Nathan too. That's what made Lucy cry, because she wasn't sure if she would ever get back together with him or if he would ever be ready to be a good stepfather to Nathan. For her, this was goodbye, and that's what made her cry. Even as she was telling us, she cried again, but at least this time, we were able to comfort her. We told her that what's done is done, and now she just needs to look to the future and hope for the best. It's not very useful advice, but it's all she can do, and, in fact, it's what any of us can do. So that's what we'll do.